peeps? Welcome back to Lucci Land. Another day, another video. That's how we do this shit, man. Hell yeah. Today, we're doing something extra different. I know I say that every time I do a fucking video, but this is different. This one is from a fellow YouTuber, April G. Showers. Fist bump to the people. And she's doing, you know, the title of it is called Hardest Piece I've Ever Written. And it's called So Can You. And what it is, you know, April G is a writer. She does some cool shit on her channel where, you know, she does reactions too, but she does her own little thing where she'll do remixes to tracks, you know, old school, new school, whatever. She'll do them. She's a writer, a poet, and I give her a lot of credit because she's got the heart to put that shit out there to the world, and that's difficult. Okay, being on video, people got shit to say all the time. You know, when you put it on YouTube, people always got a fucking opinion. You know, and it is what it is, man. We have freedom of speech, right? Kind of. But you know what? She's got the heart to do that shit and put it out there. Now this one, I'm not sure what it's about, but if I know April, like I think I do, it'll either, and it's not one of her remixes, right? So when she does remixes to rap songs, I think it's a little more fun. Like she goes into this fun place in her head and writes these funny ass lyrics. This one I have a feeling is a little more deep, because she's very into the mental health and making sure people are okay. You know, she struggles like the rest of us. We all have some kind of struggle, but I think this one's going to be a little more deep. And I'm here to support my fellow reactors, YouTube content creators, whatever. So, hey, let's check out April G. Showers. We'll see what this poem here is about. I'm assuming it's a poem, because that's usually what she does. Hey, fuck, I'm gonna shut the hell up, and I'm gonna let April do her thing, alright? Check it out with me.
What up, YouTube fam? It's April G. Showers back at y'all with a poem. I just wrote this last night. I'm doing something a little different with this one. It is called So Can You. But this poem is not a whole lot different than what I normally write, but I go into detail about the school shooting, which I have never done before.
Okay. So I do know, I have heard before that, you know, April had, you know, I think was at school during a school shooting. I don't know if she was a student or what she was doing, but I do remember hearing that before, and I think that's crazy. I have no idea what that feels like. Most of us don't. But yeah, so this is definitely going to be something deep. So you know, you got to think how difficult it is for people to put stuff like this out to the masses for everybody to listen to and everybody to hear. All right, shout out to you, April.
Or in a piece of writing of mine. Never. I've never done that. But I picked out some music to go in the background with it. And I'm going to do like spoken word with music in the background. And it's a lot harder than it looks, y'all. So just bear with me. This is very difficult for me to do. I hope y'all like it. I hope it helps someone. So, yeah. It's called So Can You. It took me a little over 2 hours to write. It's a very difficult piece. Hope y'all...
What an angel. I hope it helps someone. That's what she said. I hope it helps someone. So, man, that's powerful. I respect people that do shit like that. You know, and I feel the exact same way. If I can ever help anybody make it through a rough day, a rough time, or anything like that, you know, beyond what I'm going through, because I got my own shit too, right? If you can help other people, that's a huge thumbs up.
Hours to write. It's a very difficult piece. Hope y'all like it. April G. Squad. Fist bump. Love y'all. Let's get it. I have not watched the news since November of '95, when the school shooting happened and my best friend didn't survive. It was a Wednesday morning, just a normal school day. Around 7:50 a.m. when we heard shots in the hallway. At first we thought it was a prank, some kid just acting dumb, setting off firecrackers. Then everybody started to run. My best friend and I were in the hall. She had just bent down to get water from the fountain. Then again we heard that sound. He had just shot 2 teachers in the other hallway, then rounded the corner and held the rifle up to aim. His target was another teacher standing by me and my friend. He aimed and took his shot and hit her by accident. I glanced down the hallway. There he stood in a black trench coat. My best friend stood up from the fountain, her eyes widened as she grabbed her throat. I just stood there in shock. She fell down to the ground. Kids were running and screaming. I'll never forget that sound. That teacher was yelling at us all, "Everyone to the lunchroom." The double doors slammed shut. No one knew what to do. 2 teachers and a student tackled him to the ground, took the rifle away, and just held him down. He was basically my neighbor. We all rode the bus together. Little did we know the day before that our lives would soon change forever. I remember getting back on the bus, just staring out the window, wondering if she was all right the entire way back home. The next thing I remember, I was sitting on the couch, listening to the news and radio with my mom in our house. Miss Foster passed away. Miss Yancey survived a gunshot wound to the head. Still in shock, I not cried. I just sat there waiting for an update on my friend. With every news report I heard, I thought, is this really happening? All of a sudden, on the radio, I heard them say her name. I quickly muted the TV so I could hear what they were saying. Please, God, let her be all right. Please say that she's stable. I'll never forget those words. Dying college just out on the operating table. I just sat there in complete shock. Didn't even shed a tear. We didn't go to school the next day. I was filled with so much fear. 2 days later, couldn't get on the bus because my friend was gone. So my mom drove me to...
So, can you imagine the drama, like what's going through your head when something like that happens? I mean, that's a mess. That's your friend too. But not only that, but other people were injured or shot or killed in this tragic series of events where, you know, school shootings and things like that have become something that we're accustomed to hearing about. And for people like April, people that were involved in that issue, they're not so, what do you call it? It's not so normalized to them, right? We're normalized to it. We hear it, and like, you know, all these mass shootings that we have in the U.S., we hear that too frequently for it to be a huge, you know, I want to say like a huge pain in our heart. I mean, we know it sucks, and we do care about it, and we feel bad, and everybody on the internet sends thoughts and prayers and whatever. But to someone that really went through it, it's far more dramatic than that. You get PTSD from shit like that. Nightmares, you feel that. Like, you don't forget that. You see that in your thoughts, in your sleep. I mean, it's difficult.
Couldn't get on the bus because my friend was gone. So my mom drove me to school. I felt so scared and alone. I remember pulling up to the school, seeing the yellow crime scene tape, news reporters and cameras everywhere. My whole body began to shake. Then I walked in the front door, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. It felt like a living nightmare. I started crying and couldn't stop. That entire day at school, all any of us did was cry. No counseling, no therapy. We all just wondered why. See, back then that didn't happen, so no one knew what to do. We never talked about it. My life became unglued. I always wanted to be a teacher ever since I was a little girl. That day changed all of that. Hell, it changed my entire world. I began having flashbacks. daily panic attacks. Didn't feel safe anymore, wanted my friend and my life back. Diagnosed with PTSD, the anxiety I could not escape. Didn't know how to handle it, so I began to self-medicate. Started smoking weed.
Whoa. So you see how that transition? It went from that moment that was just had you in a shock, not knowing how to react to it. You know, I feel like April G and I are probably close to the same age. So back then, what she said is back then that was not normal. So everything I just said about things being normalized, that's in these times, the age of technology, where social media just overwhelms us with everything, every piece of bad news all the time that normalizes shit that is not normal. Back then, it wasn't normal. So she said she wanted to be a teacher. Then all this happened, and there went what possibly could have been considered her dream in life. So it changed it. She was at a moment of loss. She wasn't feeling that dream anymore. Her goals had changed. She started to have panic attacks, suffering from PTSD, and then started self-medicating. We all start self-medicating for some shit like that. Whether it's that serious or not, people handle things in different ways. And I know she's about to get into, you know, how self-medication can come into your life when you're dealing with things like PTSD, depression, anxiety, and things like that, because people really do self-medicate. And it really, really fucks the whole process up.
How to handle it, so I began to self-medicate. Started smoking weed at 16. Felt some relief at last. It helped me to not have to feel the pain and grief from my past. Smoked it daily over 10 years and started trying new things. Being an addict was never a thought, or the consequences it brings. Got pregnant in 07 and I quit it all. I did it for my child though, and never thought I would fall. Had to have a C-section. The doctor gave me a prescription. I took them like I should at first. It quickly turned into addiction. Fast forward, nearly 4 years later, was taking 40 to 60 a day. I finally realized I had a problem when the choice was ripped away. I was a functioning addict, a nurse, a mom, paid my bills. No one knew how bad it was. My best friend was the pills. My phone rang in 04. It was my dad.
Okay, before she goes on, so you see the progression. Like, this is what I'll tell you right now. I can appreciate how she puts these things together, because you can see the progression of this developing problem that was a huge weight on her shoulders at some point. And, you know, that's how something simple as pregnancy, I can relate to this, because the mother of my first, you know, I don't want to call it litter, but my first few kids got hooked on Vicodin as soon as she had my son Jordan. She had him, you know, Vicodin was introduced into the game, and it was over from there. It was all downhill. I couldn't change it. Nobody could change it. So I can definitely relate to this, and it hurts my heart to think about it. But I love the way April shows the progression of how one moment in time can alter life's timeline. And if you're not responsible about how you handle it, which most of us, if you're a kid and you're in a school shooting, how would you know how to handle that? That's why it's important for people to talk to, you know, psychiatrists, counselors. It's important to get that feedback that you need on how to cope with a specific issue. You know, if I could only practice what I preach, I wouldn't be, you know, in constant turmoil with myself either, but I am. So I'm not saying she should have done this, she should have done that. This is the way life goes sometimes. And when we don't have that guiding light, we don't know. So this is deep, man. Real deep. I can see the progression, very well written, and it just helps me see this painted picture. Man, shout out to you, April.
My best friend was the pills. My phone rang in 04. It was my dad with some news. He said they found something on my little brother's brain, my mind I was about to lose. We went to a lot of doctors trying to find the answer. We were all devastated when they said, "We're so sorry, it's brain cancer." At that time, my brother was just 11. I had not had my son yet, so I just take more and more, so the pain I could forget. He then went into remission, but me, I stayed addicted. I was so angry at God, I felt I deserved to be afflicted. So anyway, back to 2011, my son was then 3. I finally swallowed my pride and talked to my family. I went to rehab that August, so ashamed and full of guilt, but I knew I had to do it, so my life I could rebuild. I was there for 3 months, missed my son's 4th birthday. Felt like such a failure, but I stayed there anyway. By then my little brother was 17, and the cancer had come back. God, what else can possibly happen? Can you please cut me some slack? I came home that October. Everything felt so strange. Been addicted to drugs over 15 years. My whole life had to change. I got a sponsor, worked the steps, and it changed and saved my life. But recovery hasn't been easy. Been through much pain and strife. My little brother passed away. Watched him take his last breath. Thought nothing would be worse than the shooting and my best friend's death. But boy, was I so wrong. I just wanted to be dead. So 6 months after he died, I put a gun to my head. The only thing that stopped me from killing myself that night was the thought of my son or mom finding me, so I knew I had to fight. I put the gun up and fell to my knees, crying out to God for help. God, please let me know my brother's okay. Help me to help myself. I'd been up over 48 hours, so I laid on my left side in bed. I was half asleep, half awake, still wishing I was dead. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt someone's hand grab my right shoulder. I was confused, trying to understand. Then I saw my little brother's beautiful eyes, so bright and blue. Up in the clouds, I felt him hug me, and I knew God had answered my prayer and let me know he was okay. I sat up crying tears of comfort for the first time since he passed away. I then went back to nursing. Not gonna lie, it was hard, but I knew it's what I needed to do to get me out of the dark. Then a year later got a call. My big brother was very ill. I thought, here we go again. Is this seriously God's will? I then watched him take his last breath, February 2018. Why is my family going through this? It was so hard to stay clean. Then I began having medical issues, could not work anymore, lost my home, my peace of mind, and just cried out, why me, Lord? My son and I moved in with my mom. I was in a state of bad depression.
It's very difficult for human beings to endure this type of pain and this constant battering. And, you know, the way things work out. And I'm no stranger to pain and letdown and hurt to the point, broken and in pain to the point where you cannot go on. At least it feels that way. But I'm glad to see that April is carrying on. I'm glad to see anybody that makes it through these type of times and has the energy, the willpower, and the determination and strength to carry on. Because this is a lot, right?
My son and I moved in with my mom. I was in a state of bad depression. Stayed isolated in my room. Writing in music was my therapy session. Then I found these things called reactions while binge watching YouTube. Loved every minute of it and thought this is something I could do. However, I was very hesitant due to my physical looks, my age, my teeth, just everything. So my head, I just shook. But I kept on watching them. No Life Shack was my inspiration. Then went to a live stream one night, and that chat and script work were my motivation. Then November 10th, I did my first reaction. I was so very nervous, but it brought me satisfaction. Now here it is 6 months later, and I am now April G. Showers. Never thought this could happen by just watching YouTube for hours. I never thought I'd be a 40-year-old YouTuber with nearly 3K subs. So if you're feeling hopeless, I'm proof of what can happen by not giving up. Yes, I have many haters. I'm told daily I'm wasting my time. But I know I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and no one will ever change my mind. So if you're feeling alone, depressed, lost, and worthless, I've been there as well, and I promise you have a purpose. Don't listen to the negativity. Always keep pushing through. I guess what I'm trying to say is if I can do it, so can you.
You can tell she got emotional a couple times through that. Definitely. I mean, that comes from the depth. That was 15 pages, it looks like, of her just letting it out. And you know what? As emotional and as painful as it might have been to do that in front of a camera, I feel like it must have also felt great to get that out. Because sometimes the best thing is to just talk about things, get it off your chest. You know, I'm in a very similar situation where, you know, what she said, or she shot out, she gave a couple shots out to like No Life Shack, script work. I couldn't catch any others if she did give them a shout out, but you know, I know she does all the time. But those two reactors, when I used to do the same thing, just, you know, kicking back, being depressed or whatever, and then binge watching YouTube videos, those people made me feel better. So it's the same, almost the exact same scenario why I started doing it too. Because I feel like if those people can make me smile or feel better about anything just by watching them react to something, shit, that's why I'm doing it. And that's why I'm in this. You know, and then you start to build this relationship with other YouTubers and other viewers, you know, like your subs, and you start to build relationships with these people, and I think that's very important. I admire what she's done here. I think that it takes so much to put out how you really feel in front of people. There's been so many times where I've done reactions where I question myself, like, should I put this out? Was I too judgmental? Man, fuck that. You put that shit out there, man. And April put that shit out there, and I like that. You know, I really do.
That was very difficult. I'm like shaking. So that was So Can You. Did the best I could. I hope y'all like it. I hope it helps someone. It pretty much speaks for itself. This was very, very difficult. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. Be honest. Like this video on your way out. A lot more important than you think. Please subscribe to my channel. April G Squad. Fist bump. Love y'all. And I'll see y'all just a little.
Yes. This is what I like about April so much, is that she keeps it so real. And she does this and really puts her heart out there, lets people hear how she really feels. So, you know what? I talked to April on Twitter a couple times, and you know, we don't know each other, but I'm really glad I got to hear this. I don't know how I didn't before, because I've been a sub for a long time, honestly. But you know, there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. But I enjoyed this, and it's really deep. I appreciate your willingness to put this all out in front of the world, because our little circle here that we live in is not the world. The world is big. People watch, and people all over the world need to hear stuff like this, because they need to know they're not alone. We all struggle through something. Man, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your homies, do all of that. That shit is necessary, man. Hell yeah. Go show April G some love. Check out the other stuff she does. She is a hilarious human being. She's a good writer. Every time I watch one of her videos, I smile or laugh my ass off every single time. So, you know, go check that out. You know, give her a sub. You know, connect with her. She got something for everybody. But hey, you know the deal. I appreciate you coming to Luchiland, watching a little something different with me. And big shout out to April G Showers and her base. Fist bump, bam, to the people. Hell yeah. Until next time.